También os aviso, cuando me dijeron hacer la presentación, me dijeron, ¿la puedes hacer en inglés o en castellano? Y como soy un poco masoca y aunque soy español, he decidido hacerla en inglés por un motivo. Porque como hablo peor, pues hago la presentación más sencilla y me quedo con las cosas básicas porque en 40 minutos os quería contar lo básico. So then, what am I going to talk about? First of all, very quickly about the environment. And I'm going to talk about the digitalization and the global environment we have right now. Not a lot, because we have been talking this morning about digital insurance, so I don't want to repeat myself. Then I'm going to talk about some Mapfre basics. So how is Mapfre and why we are doing direct business. And additionally, I'm going to explain a little bit about how we are organizing all this global thing of direct business. Then a little bit of time about the business models we have. So direct is not a single business model. So we have several options, and we have to play in different games in different countries. And also a little bit about omni-channeling, which is not multi-channel, it's omni-channel, but I will delve on that a little bit later. And finally, what are the key synergies we see developing direct business? So why this could work, especially nowadays. So the environment. First of all, digital. We talk a lot about that. So first thing we are seeing, so we are starting to see more and more people willing to do the things on their own. Not only in the insurance industry. You can see in travel industry, you can see when you book hotels, people are more and more willing to be able to do the things on their own. And mainly, the main reason for that is that the internet, the digital, are bringing people this capability to be able to do things on their own. The second thing is compare. And Elena, I'm not going to talk a lot because you are going to delve more in this situation, but people and the internet allow us to make much more comparison, not only in insurance. So now you go to a retailer and you see several options of the things you are going to buy, but you can go also to the internet and you can see the features, the price, and a lot of things. So there is a tendency to compare more and more. And there's always been comparison. People have done shopping around for ages, but nowadays it's much easier than ever, and this is because of the internet. And finally, we have the connectivity. So you can see people connecting more than ever each other. So they are able to connect via social networks. They are able to connect, the machine are able to connect, and this is also changing the rule of the game, for good and for bad. So when you are not giving your correct value proposition to the market, when you are not delivering what you have promised, you are going to have problems. And this is because people are connecting much faster. But on the other hand, if you are doing the right things, you have a competitive advantage. So that's about digitalization. Then we have also changes in the global environment. And here is a little bit, this is what we call the Prahalat pyramid. And this is the pyramid for the emerging world. The x-axis of the pyramid is the number of people, and the vertical is the available income. What we are seeing in the emerging countries is that there are more people accessing to buy products, to buy goods. And when you have access to buy things, you also have insurance needs. So basically what I was trying to convey here is that there are more and more needs in the emerging world. And this is important for the strategy you are following, because instead of putting attention in the markets, the mature markets, you have more and more opportunities in countries such as China, Brazil, Mexico, and other countries. But on the other hand, using also the pyramid, this is the pyramid for the mature world. So Europe, United States. And what is happening there is that there are more people going to the base of the pyramid. This is probably because there is more pressure from the emerging world. The reality there is that people are having less income to buy things. The consequence of that is that people are becoming more and more price sensitive. And this is also very important for direct business because there is more demand for low-cost products or low-price products. So in the end, for this introduction, the world is changing, and I think most of insurers, we are trying to adapt to this new reality, quicker or slower, but I think most of us, we are doing those efforts. So then let's go to Mapfre. So we tend to believe Mapfre is a Spanish player, also quite important in Latin America, but in this slide I was trying to convey that Mapfre has a large footprint. So we are in countries that probably you didn't know, but for example, we are in Australia, operating indirect, by the way. We are doing things in China. The important thing here, and I was trying to convey this image, is that Mapfre is able to learn in plenty of countries. And this is also very important for the digital arena. Let me give you an example. We have recently started operations in China. And we are learning plenty of things about how the marketing online works in that country, which is fairly different to the one we have in the West. So there you don't have Google, you don't have Amazon, you have other players who are doing things very, very interesting. And the consumer in those emerging countries are really, really digital, sometimes much more than we are. It's incredible seeing China how people use their mobile or their internet access. So let's go to our distribution channels. So you can see here that Mapfre is quite a balanced company in terms of multi-channeling. So you have 80% done via our own agents, 30% done via brokers or independent agents that in several parts of the world, they have different names. We also have 18% in direct branches. So people think we are doing everything with agents, but we also have direct offer with the same brand, with the same value proposition, but done indirect, physically, face-to-face. And finally, we have 24% in bank insurance. And something called remote direct. Where is the remote direct? So it's something tiny here. So what I'm going to say to Susanna, you haven't chosen the right person to talk about direct, or the right company. Right. So let me talk about the Mapfre history in direct. So a little bit of the nomenclature here. There are several business models. I will delve a little bit more later, but we have three business models. What we call direct multi-channel, which is with the Mapfre brand. What we call direct specific in insurance, which is the Bertie brand. And finally, the direct specific in assistant, which is the Insure & Go brand. But in our history, first, I told you before, Mapfre has been selling direct since the beginning, physically, face-to-face. And we have developed some kind of skills in that arena. But in 2005, we decided to set up our own web pages, our own contact center, to be able to sell also direct. So this is not new, direct for Mapfre. The business brought that way was quite small, but we developed some skills. Then in 2009, because we were not pleased the market we were getting and the customer we were reaching, Mapfre decided to set up a specific direct company. Specific direct company in the market in which Mapfre had the highest risk of having problems with their agent network. And in 2011, we put in the market a company called Verti, which is a direct, specific, remote, pure direct player. But we were not pleased on that. And some months later, we decided to acquire a company in the UK called Insure & Go, who is an internet seller of travel insurance. This company was also operating in Australia at that moment and in Ireland. Then, in 2012, we decided to roll out this company also in the US. And then, in 2014, we have also started to operate in direct with the Mapfre brand, with the loyalty with agents in 2 countries, which are Mexico and Colombia. And this is quite recent. We have launched recently Insure & Go also in France, and some people who are here have worked in this arena. And finally, and this is not the end of story, but it's the last evolution, we have acquired 2 companies in Italy, one in Italy, another in Germany. So in the end, it's not a big channel right now for Mapfre, but we have already done some steps which are putting ourselves in the right path. So how are we doing this, strategy to develop direct in Mapfre? The first thing, and probably in my opinion the more important, is that direct is part of the multi-channel corporate strategy. Someone here in the coffee break told me the heart has to believe. And this is probably the most important area. So if your company doesn't believe that direct is something for the future, you are going to be always struggling. And the important thing is that in Mapfre is part of the corporate strategy, developing this channel. And within Mapfre, the multi-channel strategy has no question. Mapfre wants to be in all the channels. That's why we are in bank insurance, that's why we are in brokers, with agents, physically also selling direct, and also remotely. So there is no question on that. We want to be in all the channels. But the thing is, direct was underrepresented. You have seen nothing in the chart. So to develop that, we set up a corporate direct business division, which is the one I am leading. What are we doing in this corporate direct division? We are setting up the pillars and the key synergies to develop globally the direct business. We are codefining the strategy with the regions. And finally, we are developing the governance structure. So there are some rules of the game you have to follow. The things are not centralized, but some things are non-negotiable. In this strategy, we are giving entry to some of our market leaders in direct to be part of the global strategy. So recently, at the end of the year, if you are following a little bit Mapfre, we have created a new regional structure. And we have divided the group in 7 regions. In each of the regions, we have an extension of the corporate management. So each of the regions, they have their own IT, their own operation, their own people in business, and their own financial. And those regional extensions are the people who are driving the growth. So in my case, I have like more legs and arms to be able to develop the strategy. And let's see some examples. So when I mentioned we were able to launch Mexico and Colombia very quickly, is because the people in the region, they were able to understand perfectly the strategy, and they were able to roll out very quickly. When we have decided to launch Insure & Go in France, is because the region has been able to do that. And also, when we had the opportunity to buy those two companies we mentioned, is because of the region. They were willing to develop their business in the EMEA region, and they have a corporate center who was able to give some advice, helping the valuation, helping the synergies, and we collaborate with them. So I'm not doing the work on my own. I'm doing the work with the rest of Mapfre. And I say we have other work in progress projects, which I cannot disclose, obviously, but this is not the end of the history. One important thing for Mapfre is the country leadership. So even though you have quite a strong corporate structure right now, we believe that the country leadership, they have to adapt the value proposition to their markets, to their customers. So you cannot roll out the same product everywhere. You cannot roll out the same value proposition. You have to adapt it. But also, you have to adapt your operating model. So Mapfre is not the same in all the world. So in Mapfre, in Spain, you have certain capabilities, which we don't have them in other countries. So we have to see what pieces of the operating model we can use. But the important thing is the people in the countries. They are owners of the profit and loss. They are owners of the business plan. And that's really, really important for us, because otherwise we believe we won't have success if we don't have people pushing to make the business a success. Then, which are really the business model we are having? So the more complex slide I have is that one. 3 business models. The first one is what we call direct multi-channel. In that case, this direct business model is just a channel who has to be able to live together with agents, together with brokers, together with bank insurance. And the important thing is we have to be able to cope remotely with the customer. We have defined this business channel for a segment of customer. We call them experienced self-service customers. So people who like to do the things on their own, but they give more importance to the brand, they give more importance to the service, and for them it's important to buy to an already existing company. In that business model, we cope with all the Mapfre products. So you can buy motor, you can buy home, but you also can buy life in those business models. And the channel the challenge we are finding there, for me, is one of the most complex challenges we are facing. And I call this omni-channeling. This is the ability to cope with the customer with the same value proposition, with the same experience, independently of the touch point the customer uses. And sometimes the touch points differ on the things you can offer. It's not the same being able to quote and buy someone a product in the web than doing the same thing in mobile. It's not the same what you can do face-to-face with an expert in front of you. But we are trying to be able to have a consistent customer journey in all the channels, in all the touch points. Sometimes you go to the web, you obtain your price, and then you have to go to an agent, and our agent has to be able to recover this quote, this value proposition, and negotiate with the customer as well. And this is a real challenge for most of the insurers I have been talking with. So then we have the second business model, direct specific, which is really different to the other one for a single reason. We are only developing a business model which is only remote. And to be able to do that, we have decided to create different operations. separate to the standard Mapfre customer journey to the Mapfre factory. In our opinion, this changed completely the rule of the game. So if you don't have the possibility to send your customer to a face-to-face relationship, you have to design your product in a different way, your customer experience in a completely different way, but you have the possibility to revert that to have a more competitive pricing. And the segments of customer we are trying to get there are what we call the price seekers. So this value proposition is mainly going to have a proper and convenient price for the customer, but also we are targeting the newly type of customer called digital natives. And finally, also some of the customers who also like to compare, but they are not so price sensitive, which are the experienced self-service. The product we are trying to sell there is what we have said, the direct, proven, successful products. We are talking about, at the present, motorbikes, home, pets. We don't discard in the future evolving, but up to now we want to focus in those type of products. And the reason for that is the challenge we are facing. So a lot of people come to me and tell me, Jose, why you don't do life? Why you don't do health? And my answer is, because I don't know to do motor very well in digital. So I still have to do a lot of improvement in my basic product, because digitalization is still a challenge for those companies. So the way you design your customer experience in the mobile, in the web, when they use also the telephone, is still a challenge. And I'm not going to say we have solved everything. We are learning all the days. And that's why I don't think we have to move beyond additional products. And finally, we have the third business model, which is the direct specific in assistance, in travel. It's the same business model as that one, so we only cope with the customer remotely. We don't target the price seeker in there. And the reason for that is because the travel product is less price sensitive than the other one. We are more focused in the customer which are experienced self-service and in the digital natives. Maybe one day we have also to focus on the price seeker, but nowadays it's not our core objective. And here we are putting the focus in the emotional experience of the customer when someone buys a travel product, which are fairly different to when you buy a motor product. So when you are traveling, it's a different moment to the one you are insuring your car. And the challenge here is the same as that one, which is digitalization as well. But because it's not so price sensitive, it's not a big challenge, the efficiency of your operations, because you can have higher prices and have a biggest margin. And the last point I have underneath is the synergies. So in Mapfre, we have decided, differently to other corporations, to have within the same area of responsibility, we are managing all the business models. In some corporations, they have decided to split up, and they have a division to manage only the direct specific and a division to manage all the multi-channel. In our case, we believe that we can exploit much better the synergies, because the things we are learning, which are not the same exactly, but some of the compounds are quite similar. So let me talk a little bit about omni-channel. So I don't know if you are familiar about the difference between multi-channel and omni-channel. Multi-channel is to be able to play in all the channels. So be able to play agents, brokers, direct, bank insurance. Omni-channel is to be able to be consistent throughout all of them. And for us, digital is the primary entry point and the primary touch point of the customer. And we tend to believe this is going to be like this in the future. But we don't forget that the telephone is still a very important touch point. And the reason for that is we are not yet capable to design product and customer experience fully digital. So our complexity of the products needs somebody on the phone to explain those products. But there is still a very important piece to deliver more value to the customer, the one we call physical. And it could be physical direct, or it could be physical with your agents and brokers. And in that case, we believe strongly that an agent and a broker can increase the customer value in terms of making much better recommendation of the product to buy. They can increase the cross-selling much easier than the way we do it in digital. So in this funnel, there is a lot of value still to deliver. And that's why we think that direct is complementary, and there is still a lot of room for improvement in all the three compounds: digital, telephone, and physical. So, ¿qué tal? 5 minutos. Bien. So the synergies. So what are the key areas here? I didn't know very well in which part starting talking about sharing, learning, and acting. It's like the chicken and egg thing. So I decided to start with sharing. First of all, sharing. What are we sharing to develop the global strategy? We are sharing the backend system. So 80% of the system we are using is the same all over the world and in all the business models. 20% is customized to the country. But we are sharing the CRM, the campaign management, the workflow managers, the product pricing and underwriting factories, and also the connection to the front layers to the digital world. What are we sharing as well? The tools. So when you are using marketing online, the tools to monitor, the tools to develop your marketing online strategy, the tools to invest are the same. I don't say that we are sharing the same investment, but we are sharing the tools. And also, we are sharing the digital user experience tools as well. So in digital, you have tools in which you can do A/B testing, you can change the way you have designed the things, and you can optimize. So we are sharing the same tools all over the world. And then we are sharing the brands. And this is also important because you have to maintain a worldwide consistency of your brands. And finally, what we are sharing is the business experience. When I say Mapfre is a global company, I say we are learning in plenty of countries, and the ability to share those things are quite cornerstone of our strategy. Then let's go for learning. Okay, and sharing is also a key compound to be able to compete on price. So the more things you share, the less things you have to develop on your own, and it's much easier to give a return on investment to your shareholder. Then you go to learn. In learning, I told you we share our experience, but you have to organize all this process of learning. What we are doing is to develop what we call business competence center. And those business competence centers are not run by a corporate guy. It's run by people who is in a country who has developed the best practice in that countries. So you have a competence center, for example, in price comparison sites, a competence center in pricing, a competence center in marketing online, in direct affinities. And this is run by a country, but you have people from all the operation working on that competence center. And the important thing is they had a mission. So they are not meeting together just to share. They have a mission and they have to deliver a policy, and a common best practice. What are we also learning? So we have decided to have a common business intelligence database. And we are not doing this in terms of controlling. We are doing this to be able to have all our people learning from each other. And to learn, you have to have homogeneous KPIs. Otherwise, you spend your time trying to translate the KPIs from other experiences. So now we have a single BI which is served for all the operation in indirect business. And finally, we also have what we call the business modeling. So the BI, you see the past. But also when you are setting up a company, you are developing a startup, you have to project your business for the future. So we have a business model in which all the leaders, they put their inputs, but the business model is built the same way for everybody. It's true that in some areas you have more, let's say, aggregator business. In other countries you have more direct marketing. In other countries you have more mass marketing. But in the end, you have all the options in this business model. And the people in the countries, they can share their inputs, and they can see what is the effect of their strategies comparing to their peers. So I'm not in a corporate center to control. I'm in a corporate center to help people to deliver. And that's a big difference from other corporate centers I have seen. But learning, which is core to our motivation, is also it's compulsory to be able to act. So we are not learning for the sake of learning. We are learning for the sake of acting. And who is acting? The people who are acting is the people in the countries. So their mission is to acquire and retain profitable customers. So what are they doing? They are doing their investment. It's true, we are sharing the tool, but I'm not going to tell them if they have to invest more in TV, more in marketing online, or they have to buy more Google Ads, or doing more display strategy. They will know that, because they are using the tool and they are the responsible to optimize that. They have to, okay, finally, okay, they have to act in accessing the customer. So in all the markets, we have different compounds. In some areas, we have more databases. In some countries, we have more aggregators. In other countries, they have affinities. So they have to go to that market and obtain the customer. They have to develop their product, pricing, and underwriting strategies. We use the same tool, but they have to fix the prices. I'm not going to fix the prices for them. They know much more than me, and above all, they are owners of the P&L. So they are running their own strategy on that. Very important, they have to improve the digital user experience. So I don't know if a Chinese consumer is very important to them to have the web page designed in some way or in another way. I'm giving the tool to them, but they optimize the digital user experience. They also optimize what we call the customer management. So after the digital, after the telephone, we have networks, we have tow trucks, we have plenty of services after that. So they have to manage all those. And finally, they have to develop a culture of innovation. And to end with, Susanna, it was very difficult for me to do in a PowerPoint this concept. This is the concept of innovation we are following. So we are having a portfolio of initiatives. And that's why I put several situations. And also innovation is not a straightforward pace. It's a straightforward journey. So we have given to some of the operations finance to test and learn from different concepts. And they are able to develop that, and because we have a portfolio, and in the end, we summarize all the portfolio, and when we have learned something in the country, we can roll it out in other places of the world. For example, one of the operations we are designing right now is being designed with the concept of mobile first. So not thinking of digital first, but thinking in mobile, the first interaction of the customer. And this, again, changed completely the way we design the experience. So, Susana, this is more or less what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Gracias por la presentación, José Luis. José Luis no nos va a poder acompañar hasta el final del panel y sí quería abrir si hay alguna pregunta entre el público para hacerle ahora. Tiene que marcharse y me decía que si queríais hacerle alguna pregunta. Carlos.
En inglés o en español, español más simple, ¿no?
Como quieras.
Cuando estaba la slide de share, había un insieme de cosas que planean compartir entre los negocios y había 80% backend. Y no sé si se puede elaborar sobre eso, porque en realidad, si vemos la historia al contrario de Admiral, ¿no? En casi todos los países se crea un negocio local y sí comparten, pero no pienso que sea 80%, pero entiendo. Eso me curioso. Y también el branding, que es la otra cosa bastante obvia, ¿no?
A ver, ahora voy a hablar en español. Tu sistema base es uno de los pilares para ser eficiente. Entonces, muchas compañías han intentado tener un sistema único. Entonces, nosotros desde el principio, cuando diseñamos la tecnología de directo, ya la diseñamos pensando en que teníamos un sistema core, que era lo mismo para todos, pero que luego teníamos una capa de personalización al país. Entonces, lo que intentamos hacer en el core es lo máximo posible para que esté disponible para todo el mundo, pero somos conscientes que en ese 20% externo está donde se genera una gran parte del valor. Pongo ejemplos, pues conexiones, me voy a España, conexiones con 5, eso está en el country unique, porque no existen en ningún otro país. Pero sin embargo, el product factory está en el core, y eso es lo que nos permite sacar productos rápidamente fuera. Puedo ponerte otro ejemplo, PayPal. Pues PayPal, la conexión con PayPal y la capacidad de pagar por PayPal, como es algo global, lo hemos desarrollado en el core y cada país lo coge si lo quiere, ¿vale? Y entonces ya tenemos el sistema en 4 países operando y cuando os pongo el 80 no es un objetivo, es que es el conjunto de código común que tenemos es el 80%, ¿vale? Las marcas. Tendemos a pensar que construir marcas es muy caro y por lo tanto estamos apostando por estrategias de marca específicas para cada uno de los modelos de negocio que tenemos, ¿vale? Los valores de marca se tienen que respetar, ¿vale? Y eso es una de las lógicas también de conseguir ser eficientes. Bien, es verdad que cada vez que lanzamos en un país contrastamos si esa marca es válida para ese país. Con lo cual, no os digo que pueda haber alguna excepción en el futuro, pero hasta ahora, pues todos los países donde estamos operando funcionan bien las marcas que hemos lanzado. Sí que somos disciplinados en testar previamente si tiene atributos negativos. Por ejemplo, si atributos negativos o atributos fonéticos. Por ejemplo, la marca Berti, pues en China nos suena que no vaya a funcionar muy bien porque Belti, pues los chinos les cuesta la R. Pero en principio nuestra estrategia es disciplina con las marcas.
Una última pregunta. Yo tenía una para ti, pero casi que prefiero que sea del público. Sí.
Sí, José Luis, ¿cómo se vivió la creación de un canal directo en una compañía como Mapfre, que probablemente tenga el canal tradicional más potente y la mayor red de agentes de toda España.
Esa es la que tenía yo también. ¿Cómo conviven los canales en Mapfre?
Bueno, aquí, a ver, ¿cómo se vivió o cómo lo hicimos? ¿No? A ver, lo que primero seguimos conectando con el tema de las marcas, cogimos un camino más duro, que es disociación radical de las marcas. O sea, y gran parte yo creo que el 95% del consumidor no sabe que Berti es una compañía de Mapfre. Segundo pilar es disociación del modelo de negocio. O sea, cuanto más digital haces la experiencia del cliente, o sea, más valor le estás dando a tu experiencia física de asesoría que da tu modelo de negocio base. Entonces, también seguimos una estrategia de disociación. Y lo tercero que hicimos fue una disciplina de comunicación. O sea, no quisimos sorprender a nuestra red y antes de lanzar nada al mercado, incluso antes de que lo supiese la prensa, nos recorrimos toda España contando lo que íbamos a hacer. ¿Vale? Entonces, con esos tres pilares, pues el modelo yo puedo decir que aunque había muchos miedos, pero no se ha creado un conflicto de mercado sustancial.
Pues muchas gracias, José Luis. Muchas gracias.